Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna hop right into reviewing an episode, giving my opinion of an episode, rating an episode on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being the worst episode of My Little Pony's Friendship is Magic I can think of, and 5 being the best. It should be noted that the worst episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic I can think of is still better than most kids' programming out there. It's still better than a lot of adult programming out there. So, like, a 1 in this is like a 6 in a normal 1 to 10 scale. I've yet to see an episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic that I really just did not think was at least passable. I think I said earlier that I must be the only person I know that didn't come into watching Friendship is Magic thinking it was going to be stupid or bad. I knew it wasn't going to be. Lauren Faust's work is always very good. Whether or not I like it or not, it's very good. I also figured that the show was going to have good world building. And if you want to sell me on a show, there are 3 things you're going to need. World building, a character I can relate to or sympathize with, and world building. And this episode had all 3 in spades. Would that be all 3 since I did like the repeating yourself joke? Might be, yeah. The show literally starts with some of the most watchable exposition I can think of. Yes. It is a children's show. And you more or less need to accept that. Because that is the kind of exposition you're going to get. You're basically going to listen to a short fairy tale at the start of the show. And it's a great lead-in for the show. But right away, we also get something important about the show. It straight out gives us a sympathetic backstory to the villain for the episode. Few shows do that. And even fewer children's shows do that. The first introduction of each character is straightforward and to the point without actually being over the top. Most of the time. Our first encounter with Twilight makes it clear that she's not really much of a pony. She's a bookworm. And, well, she's kind of OCD. I mean, kids aren't really going to get the whole OCD part. They're not going to pick up on that. Parents are. I mean, kids are going to pick up that she's a little high-strung, I guess, is a good way to put it. But adults are going to pick up that she has some social and personal quirks, and that's great. Having a straight-up perfect main protagonist is lame, even by children's standards, and I'm really glad that cartoons in general have stepped away from that. Also a great vocabulary joke. Twilight actually speaks like a bookworm/academic, and the show knows that some viewers are not going to get it. And this leads into a wonderful joke with Spike in his letter, and the fact that it's okay not to get every word. The character introductions are, well, pilot-ish. That's a term now. It's clear this is a pilot to adult viewers, and while the character introductions might suffer from this, they are by no means bad. And by pilot standards, they're quite good, except for the pink one. Side note 1. Boo. Boo, Pinkie Pie, you're bad. Side note number 2. That was not 10 seconds flat, Rainbow Dash. That was 7.8 seconds. I know. I checked. Side note number 3. Hot Pony is hot? I don't know. This show, you're already... You're skating on thin ice. Also, French is a thing in Equestria, apparently. Also... Casanova is a thing? Darn it, Rarity, why are you causing so much OCD continuity issue in my amazing brain? But then, there's Nightmare Moon. And I'll be honest, out of all the characters in this is the one I have issue with, and it's not because of the voice acting. The voice acting is great. It's not because of the character. The character's alright. Or anything like that. It's because I really just am not feeling this character design. And I know that's a kind of a nitpicky thing, and it's a show. What do you want? It's a pilot. What do you want? But I don't know. I'm just not feeling the whole Nightmare Moon aesthetic. Side note number 4. You fool. Pony puns. The second part of the pilot takes us into the Everfree Forest, giving us more good world building. And we get a part of the show where each of the main 6 show off their connection to the elements of blah, 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 blah. The part actually dives really deep into the concept of destiny. And And destiny terrifies me. Like, the concept of destiny legitimately just terrifies me. And this is pretty deep meta stuff that kids are not going to think of, but really having all 6 of them there, it's a matter of destiny, or the elements of harmony are really not as picky as we think they are. More on that later. This also leads into a train of thought on how much Queen Celestia, praise the sun, knows about what's going to happen. Like, is she just rolling the dice, or is she, like, know the future? I'm gonna bet that she's drunk somewhere the whole time, watching everything happening like, nah, Twilight's got a handle on this. You got this, orange, purple pony, yeah. It also occurs to me that the first song in the whole show is from the Pink One. And it's not bad. While Pinky does legitimately annoy me in the first few seasons, I really have to begrudgingly make the note that her songs are some of the better ones, especially when she gets ragtime songs. It's so unfair. Blah, 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 dramatic showdown, and the power of friendship. And then Empress Celestia, the Empress's light is my torch. Also Luna, I guess. No, I joke. Woona is adorable in this. I like the later Luna more, but this smaller, more fragile look at her is nice. It's a good end point to the fairy tale aspect of the story, and the Pink One ruins it. Like, everything. What I mean to say is, hail the moon and praise the sun, our eternal goddess empresses have returned to us. But look, it's a overall great fairy tale story. It's not hard for adults to watch. It's not hard for males to watch. There's a real reason that this is so popular with adults and with male viewers. The story is just left to be its own thing. There's no real need to make this cool or rad. It's a kind of adventure story where marketing is left up to good character and good storytelling. It's a good example of how quality can overcome demographic boundaries, and where good quality can sell your product for you. I give this episode a solid 4.5 out of 5, except for the Pink One. Addendum. There are some things that kind of mark this episode as a pilot also. Differences in characterizations are really good examples here. For instance, Spike never has any trouble with spelling after this episode. Fluttershy never has quite this much trouble talking again, which I think we can all be, really glad about. In the opening prologue, Luna and Celestia, hail the Empresses, are referred to as unicorns. The show later establishes alicorns as the canonical term for winged unicorns. Spike also seems to be slightly more butt monkeyish in this episode than he is in later episodes. In this, he's kind of a goofy sidekick. In the show proper, he's more of a competent assistant / little brother figure. We experience a little bit of mood whiplash at the end of the first episode, too, because you have Nightmare Moon. She shows up, plunges the world into eternal, never-ending darkness, and then we immediately cut to the super cheery closing theme. Referencing the whole reference to France and Casanova, too, it should be noted that past the pilot, there really isn't any entomology that's out of place that I can think of. This, I think, really is more of an issue with it being a pilot episode. I also refuse to accept that it was exactly 1,000 years. I only say this because why is everything 1,000 years? Like, in this show, literally everything is 1,000 years. I can think of at least 3 villains that have been banished for 1,000 years. I'm saying they're rounded up or down with some of these villains. In retrospect, I'm not sure if the denizens of Ponyville become dumber or smarter as time goes along. I'll have to think of that as I go through these episodes. Having a discussion about the more or less Batman gambit that Princess Celestia, hail Princess Celestia, has in this episode, I choose to accept or make the argument that she's just really experienced at this point and is just really good at guessing. I I don't like the idea that this is all down to destiny and that she knows the future, because that kind of removes the concept of faith in her student. I also kind of dig that the power of friendship power in this is kind of like a cross between a Care Bear stare and a wave motion gun. It also occurs to me that Nightmare Moon probably would have had better luck if she would have just went to the castle instead of trying to muck up the main six's travel to the castle, and probably could have gotten something more effective done. I also do, we're talking about Nightmare Moon and what I do and don't like about her. I enjoy a hammy villain. I enjoy a villain who really chews the scenery, and I appreciate the voice acting that Nightmare Moon does in this episode. Also, did anybody actually notice that the elements of Harmony actually fix Rarity's chopped off tail? I literally just noticed that while we were watching this episode. In closing, probably the thing that I enjoy most about this pilot and Friendship is Magic in general is the setting and the fact that they went with high fantasy in this. The entire point of going to a place to get an item through a long journey to... This is basically Lord of the Rings with ponies in a half hour, or actually an hour since it's 2 episodes, but I completely approve. Actually, now I kind of want My Little Ponies like Lord of the Rings. That would be pretty awesome. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.